Well, good afternoon, and I want to welcome you to our Global Pain Conference. Every weekend we bring it to you. Now, every other weekend, every 2 weeks. We began this in May, talking about issues involving pain, and the Global Pain Association has been behind all of these programs, and they have done a wonderful job providing incredible guests. Today's topic, real stories of chronic pain warriors. My name is Ron Aaron Eisenberg. I'm delighted to serve as your host for this event. I've got a lot of years in broadcasting and a lot of years hosting medical programs. I know this much about everything medical. So you're in good hands here for the Global Pain Association Pain Conference. I want to introduce our guests today. We have three guests who are joining us. Two are global pain warriors struggling with global pain. And the third is the daughter of one of our guests today. First, we'll introduce Rebecca Christopherson. She's a registered nurse, an MSSW, a board member of the Global Pain Association, and a global pain warrior of many years. Rebecca lives with severe systemic lupus erythematosus. She's dedicated to healing those with lupus who are in need of emotional support and community resources. She's also a wife, a mother, and knows the positive impact support groups have on the entire family. And we'll talk with her in just a couple of minutes. Thanks for joining us, Rebecca. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Up next is Tina Peterson. She is an AADP board certified holistic practitioner and chronic pain warrior. She too has struggled with chronic pain. She's a health coach, a cannabis CBD coach, founded Restore Biosciences in 2018. And as a CBD and health and wellness coach, she has been there. She wants to help people reduce their pain through diet, supplements, CBD products, and petting dogs like Harvey. That's Harvey up close and personal. Aiden Christopherson, 22 years old, is the daughter of chronic pain warrior Rebecca, and she's with us here. Aiden is a 2020 graduate of Baylor University, Sikkim, Bachelor of Arts in Arabic and Middle East Studies. She double majored in international relations and assured herself a career that will never pay her anything, but she'll love it. Taking a gap year before pursuing her graduate degree, Aiden plans to pursue a career in national security and intelligence. Maybe she'll work for the CIA, who knows? Maybe she already does, but can't tell us. She was 8 years old when her mom began her chronic pain journey, and we're going to talk to not only her mom, but all three of these fine people who agreed to be with us today. By the way, if you've just joined us, we do this every other week. We broadcast live on the Global Pain Association Facebook page, and we encourage you to like us and share today's broadcast and every other broadcast that you watch so that we can spread the wealth, spread the interest, spread the viewership. I'm going to start with Rebecca, if you all don't mind. Now, Rebecca, tell us a little bit about your medical history. I hinted at a chronic disease you have been struggling with. When did your chronic pain begin?
In 2006, I had surgery, cervical spine surgery, because my spinal canal was stenosed. It was too tight, and my spinal cord wasn't protected. So I had surgery, and unfortunately, I developed, following surgery, nerve damage to my left arm, a condition called partial complex pain syndrome, which is very, very, very painful. I also was diagnosed in 2008 with lupus and had been having symptoms for quite a bit. And then in 2011, I was diagnosed with lupus cerebritis, which is the literature says has a prognosis of dementia and psychosis. So that was probably the big one, along with all the pain.
Now, how has your family dealt with the pain that you've been struggling with, and how has it affected your ability to be a functioning part of a family?
Well, I think at first it was very difficult for my kids because I was undiagnosed and I was in bed quite a bit of the time. I had to hire someone to take my kids to school, to help prepare meals, do laundry, just things to help the house continue to function. Um, but we did all right. And then in 2011, when I was diagnosed with lupus cerebritis, that's when it really hit my kids. Underwent chemotherapy, which really scared my son, and my daughter began to worry a great deal. But to compensate, I did a lot of, even though I could not do physical things with them, it gave me an opportunity to be still and realize what I could do as a parent that would make a big impact while I was here and all mentally here, and teach them some great lessons and teach them how to overcome adversity, because I was actually overcoming adversity with my illness.
Now, looking at this photo, I gather your dogs provided some comfort.
Yes, they do. One would think, how can you sleep like that on a sofa? But I've actually gotten to where I need to sleep. I need to be spooned with my dog and my husband, so they're a big support.
I want to ask you one more question, and then we're going to move on to Tina and to Aiden. What are the positives that have come out of all this? And we always look for the grass is greener side. Are there for you positives?
I think this journey has enriched my life more than if I hadn't had this illness. I have, because you're not so concerned about getting all the household things done, and you're able to be with your children, just be completely present. And I wanted to just, my son, who was very young and very scared, he had written some things in a chapel talk he gave, and I think the thing that came across was what my son said. I'll read it real quick. He said, "The last but very important lesson I've learned as a result of severe systemic lupus erythematosus and its cruel partner lupus cerebritis is resilience. I have seen my mom claw and dig her way out of what she calls lupus black holes over and over throughout my years. Each infection leads to a severe lupus flare, which can last for months. She loses muscle mass, stamina. Every single time my mom has adopted, Churchill's motto, 'We shall never surrender,' and has climbed out of each hole, no matter how torturous. She also is a big fan of General George S. Patton. When mom is feeling like an old NFL lineman, she reminds herself of Patton's words, 'May God have mercy upon my enemies, because I won't.'" So
He had a pretty good handle on it.
My son learned to be strong.
He did. Well, we're going to come back to you in a little while. Stay with us, Rebecca. And I want to turn to Tina, if I may, and talk a little bit about her own experience. She, too, is a self-described pain warrior. Tina Peterson, thanks for joining us. And you've been through it as well.
Right.
Talk to us.
It all started when I was about 18. I suffered from a lot of migraines. I had joint pain, abdominal pains, all kinds of just intermittent pain that I would have, and nobody could figure out what was going on. And this went on throughout my life. I had multiple hospitalizations for kidneys, for abdominal pain, joint pain, the whole 9 yards, and nobody could just figure it out. I'd have periods where I was okay, and then I would get sick again. And so back in 2007, I decided to go ahead and go to the Mayo Clinic, because by this time it had been going on for a very long time. I started having anaphylaxis, but I wasn't allergic. Yeah.
You couldn't breathe.
No, I couldn't breathe. My throat would close up, everything, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. And so I did go to the Mayo, spent a week there, and all they said was that you have an autoimmune disease. So I was kind of like, well, great, what do I do with that? So I came back to San Antonio, and I found a wonderful rheumatologist who did blood work. And in 2010, I was diagnosed with lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. And then that kind of progressed into other diagnoses. I ended up with multiple sclerosis, something called CIDP, Sjogren's, vasculitis, and some other things. So it was really a journey of just real health degradation, basically because I hadn't been treated for so long. So I had chronic, horrible pain. I literally lived at an 8 on the pain scale. It was excruciating. Nothing was helping it. It was not fun.
And then what?
Well, and then I got really sick in 2013, and they had tried every medication. I was hospitalized for a very long time. I was in the hospital or nursing home for 9 months, and ended up finally getting out. Almost died in the hospital. I got out, and I said, you know what? There's got to be a better way. So I talked to my physician and started doing some research on some natural products and some other things, and ended up doing some natural things. And then I also started using CBD, and the CBD actually completely knocked my pain away. I mean, that was the golden ticket for me. I still do a lot of natural herbs and supplements and some alternative medicine things to help me.
I love this picture. I gather you and your dog go to the same groomer?
Absolutely.
That's perfect.
Yeah, she's my sweet angel, and she used to lick my face every time I was going to have a lupus flare, so I knew I was going to have one when she would lick my face. Yeah, sweet
Talk
puppy.
to us about CBD. We hear about it a lot. Folks don't know a lot about it. They wonder whether or not you get that marijuana high. What does CBD do for you?
Well, I take the hemp CBD, and there is not any THC, and some of the hemp products have very little, and so you do not get high with it. But what it does is it actually will helps me sleep. It helps me to relax, gets rid of my anxiety, and it also helps to get rid of my pain. Now, there's one thing to remember with that is it takes time. You've got to get to the right dosage for your body, and that's where we lose a lot of people. That's where, it was frustrating for me because it took many, many months. But over, doing persistence and time, I was able to find out what would work for me. And that's the thing. Everybody's different. You just got to find what works for you.
I'm assuming you start low dose and move up.
Yes, that's the best way. It's easier to do it that way.
Now we've got about 30 seconds left before we jump to Aiden. What have you learned about yourself out of all this, and what can you share with others who are perhaps global pain warriors or about to be so?
Well, I think the most important thing is to remember what's important in life. I learned that my family is the most important thing, of course, and my friends. And so I found that, when I did feel well, I would spend that time with my family. It's just something that you just realize that there's a lot of unimportant things that we stress over all the time that really aren't important. You've got to learn what is important and focus your energies there.
Well, I thank you for taking the time to talk with us. Let's jump to Aiden. Aiden is a recent graduate of Baylor University. Her mom shared with us her story. And Rebecca, you were part of that story. What was it like growing up in a household where your mom, in some ways, was disconnected?
Mhm. Well, I think the main thing that my brother and I realized early on was that she wasn't gonna be able to do everything that she used to be able to do. She wasn't able to necessarily come to all of my volleyball games, all of my tennis matches, because she wasn't feeling well and because the illness was, not allowing her to do what she wanted to do. So I think that's the main thing my brother and I grasped pretty early. And then we also realized that we were going to have to maybe grow up a little bit earlier than other people and take more responsibility within the house, whether it was, doing more chores or, just doing more things that other kids weren't having to do necessarily. But I definitely would say it had an upside because we got to spend more time with our mom than other people did. Other people's parents were always busy, and we were very fortunate because our mom was always there for us. whether it be homework, help with homework. My mom is great at helping us with essays. She would actually write the whole essay, and we'd be like, okay, that's how you do. But and or we would have. I think it came to the point where my brother and I preferred spending time with our mom as opposed to our friends from school, because she was always there. We need whether it's movie night and takeout or like having to do homework. She was always there for us, and I think we got to know her better and a closer relationship with her than other kids had with their moms.
As you went through your middle school, high school, college life, your mom began to get somewhat control over her chronic pain, did she not?
Oh, what was that? Sorry, cut out.
Your mom began to get control over the pain. She started managing it more effectively.
Yes. Yeah. So I think it was probably after the first round of chemotherapy, maybe eighth or ninth grade. We, saw that she was able to do more. I played tennis, so she was taking me all over the state of Texas, to different tournaments every weekend, and she was able to do more. And we really appreciated that. Whether it was, infusions, the chemotherapy, or whatever she was doing, it really helped her. Yeah.
And have you talked with her about the guilt that she felt about not being there for you?
Yeah, so we've talked many times, and she about that, and specifically, she realized to us that she does feel guilty because she wasn't able to be there for everything that other kids' parents were there for. But I think Bryce and I have a different appreciation for her than a health necessarily healthy mom. So we aren't we weren't necessarily upset about it or anything, because we got to have a different relationship with our mom. We got to actually get to know her as a person and spend quality time with her, as opposed to what other kids were experiencing. So when she says she feels guilty, we would tell her there's no reason to, because we got to see a different side of her.
Any last thoughts that I haven't asked you before we go on?
Yeah, I think I just like to say that we have to talk about, people ask why our mom's not necessarily at things, why she can't be there when other parents are there. And I think the way we see it is, she's resting so she can spend time with us. She sees that spending time with us is more important than being at these other functions. And so I think it's just the way you look at it. You can look at it like she's not able to be there when, typical other parents would be there. But if you look at it in a positive light and you see it as, well, she's actually going to be there when we really need her, I think that's the best way you can look.
That's cool. Aiden, Rebecca, Tina, thank you. This has been a great look at what it's like to be a global pain warrior, and ways in which medication, ways in which other alternative treatments can help. And Aiden, we thank you for sharing what was, I know, very personal in terms of your relationship with your mom. And Rebecca, we tried to make you cry. I think we didn't quite get there.
No, I'm very proud of my children. And I think I realized through my journey that God's plan for me is really to be Aiden and Bryce's mom and to be my husband Chad's wife. And that's what I focused on and found meaning. And I don't know if I would if I hadn't been ill.
Well, that's cool. We need to move on. Thank you very much to Tina, Rebecca, and Aiden. We're going to talk to the founder of the Global Pain Association in just a moment. You've been watching Chronic Pain Education series presented by GPA since May 2nd. For the last 18 weeks, we have been here every Saturday at noon. We kick off our twice-a-month series this weekend, and Dr. Susan Blackwood joins us now to talk about where we are and where we're going and how things look for the Global Pain Association. We're going to patch Susan in and wish her a good afternoon. Hello, Susan. waiting for a cue from my executive producer, who happens to be my wife, Gina Galaviz Eisenberg. You have no idea what it is like juggling behind the scenes, putting all this together. It is literally producing a TV show with minimal tools. And as we track down Susan, I want to make sure you understand that the Global Pain Association Board of Directors is fully behind this program, but it takes money. It takes money to support the system, takes money to make it happen. And Susan is set up. She's at the plate. I threw her a high, hard one. She can hit it for a home run. How do we get money, Susan? What do we do?
Ron, sorry to be late. I was wiping away a few little tears because these women have become very close friends of mine, and it was amazing stories. So I'll pull myself together because this is all about Global Pain Association and our volunteer board and advisory group and people like you and Jana that have made this series possible. But we do need more support to keep the series going this fall. We've had sponsors and donors since our organization started in 2018, but we certainly need more help to be able to bring this to the 40,000 people that we're reaching on a regular basis. So people can go to our website, globalpain.org. There's a tab on how to get involved, and they certainly can donate, or they can send topics that they'd like to see us cover on a regular basis when we do this every 2 weeks.
And we'd like those of you who are watching to share this, make a comment, share it with your Facebook friends, and in that way we can expand the group that is knowledgeable, involved, and supportive of what we are doing. Now, our plan going forward is every other week, and we will kick that off on our next show, September 26th at noon, October 10 and 24, November 7 and 21, December 5 and 19, and all of these programs brought to you by the Global Pain Association, and let's hope some underwriters who want to jump on board.
You know, Ron, perfect if everybody that watched this would just send us a $10 donation. No donations too small.
And it's a tax-deductible organization, a 501c3, so you
Absolutely.
get the benefit. You don't get a big bang for $10. How about $1,000? That'll give you a little better donation, and we're happy to accept that. Coming up on the next program in 2 weeks, September 26th, chronic pain is a family affair. Dr. Julie Strench will join us. She is a licensed professional counselor and chief program officer at Roy Moss Youth Alternatives and an incredible therapist. So we will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you to Susan Blackwood and the GPA Board of Directors. On behalf of all of you who joined us today, on behalf of the three women who made a huge contribution, I'm Ron Aaron Eisenberg. We will talk with you again in 2 weeks right here on the Global Pain Association Facebook page.